phenomenal actor bringing your new favorite synth Thea to life, Elle. Welcome, Elle! And last but not least, the powerhouse performer, who is the young Yautja warrior Dek, Dimitrius Koloamatangi! Give it up, hello sir, welcome, welcome, welcome. Over there on the right, thank you. Welcome. I've kicked my water over in the excitement, thank God that the lid was on. Guys, welcome to MCM Comic Con. Dan, I'm going to start with you.
Go on.
You have had such a huge impact in this franchise in a short space of time with Prey and Killer of Killers and now Badlands, of course. But this seems like a very different take on a Predator movie. Is it? And where did it begin for you?
Yeah, I mean, it began after making Prey, which was a very sort of back to basics, true to the very root of the franchise movie, and thinking about what we could possibly make next, and really trying not to think what could we make, but what should we make? Like, what is a movie beyond just the Predator franchise that does not exist that I want to see, and I feel like we all really want to see. And that really became the idea of making a movie about the monster, about the creature. We've all fallen in love with a lot of sidekicks and villains over the years, and they've never really had their own movie. And so the big idea was, what if the Predator had its own movie? So yeah, that's the genesis of Badlands.
Wow, okay, and where did you go from there and flesh that out and bring in these guys into it as well?
It was honestly feeling like if we put a human in the movie, we're going to be really tempted creatively as we're developing it, but also as an audience member, we're going to start to really link up with them, and it's going to start to be less of this big idea of like, what if the Predator was the protagonist? As I mean, just like any old franchise has done before. So in thinking about No Humans, it was like, what if it's a movie about like a monster and a robot? And then I thought, I know a company that makes robots, which is Weyland-Yutani from the Alien franchise. And so very quickly after that, the idea of the silhouette, the Chewbacca with C-3PO on its back silhouette of the Predator, and a severed synth came to mind.
Amazing. Demetrius, we're obviously used to seeing the Predator as the bad guy, as Dan said, but Dek, he's different. He's the hero. What stood out for you about this character? What can people expect from him?
I think what people can expect from Dek, like you said, people are so, I guess, used to the idea of the Predator being, the big villain, of the story. And it's not that they're the villain, that's just their culture. They're a part of a hunting background, that's all they know. So when we meet Dek, he's going out on his first hunt, he's the underdog, he's very undersized and pretty much just going against all odds. So yeah, people can expect him to come out just swinging, trying to prove himself to his clan, prove himself to his family, but just prove himself to himself, really, that he's about what he says, and yeah, he's the biggest and baddest predator there is.
And Elle, I said that Thea is going to be people's new favorite synth. What can you say about her?
Well, I hope so. I was such a big fan of Prey, and I also love the Alien films, and so it's very exciting to me to say that I get to play a synth in that world and kind of join the lineage of everyone who has, played an android before for Weyland-Yutani. Now I work for the company, but Thea is a very kind of, I think she's very different of a synth that you've seen before. I think our film is set kind of furthest into the future you've seen, so that also means that she is kind of the most advanced android that we've seen so far, which also gives her a lot of like empathy and human-like emotions, so she's very accessible, I think, to the audience, and has quite spunky, kind of fun personality. She's quite funny at times, which might be unexpected to see in a Predator film that, you know, that you'll laugh. But I love her personality. And she's broken. And I think her personality, because she is broken, it informs a lot of her empathy and how she navigates on the planet. So.
Yes, the relationship between Dec and Thea is fantastic. It's that classic strong, silent type. That's Dec. And then there's Thea, who is just a motor mouth in so many ways. Can you talk about creating that relationship between the two of you? And Dan, what were you drawing on in terms of inspiration for that as well?
There's a lot of classic genre films that we drew inspiration from. Midnight Run's a big touchstone, but even things like Paper Moon, and it's been around, and Baby Cart, series of samurai films, have all been around forever, but never really quite like this. And they really were attached at the hip, to make the pun, but like you guys really were, in every possible way. They were fastened to each other, so.
We would often say to each other, I got you, you're back, you have mine, because we were back to back, literally, the whole time during filming, like linked up, flying through the air together. That's one of the fun things about this film too, is a lot of it is done practically. Like, of course, there's visual effects, but there's a lot of like movie magic and tricks that we did fully in camera, which I loved. And to have Dimitrius there, and he's such an incredible actor, and I think to have a film about the Predator being the protagonist for the first time, to really have, you know, Dimitrius and his emotions shine through, which we've never seen that in this film before. So, you know, we were fully, Dan cares just as much about the scenes and the emotion as he does the action, and so we connected. We were in it together. It was only us, so.
Only us. I think it was quite cool as well, because you know, there's such contrasting characters, but I think that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
You know, the relationship and even the funny moments. You know, it's not even like we're not playing the joke. You know, it's just so outrageous what's going on. Like, I just can't help but be funny. Those little moments, and yeah, like going with Elle, you know, through the valleys, over the mountains, you know, on my back. It was such a funny like experience that we went through, and just brought everyone real close. It was cool.
I want to drill into that real quick, because Thea is in two halves, essentially. So Dec straps Thea to his back for a lot of the movie, and so you say you did that practically. What the heck was that like?
We shot in New Zealand as well, which was so beautiful. So we were on, you know, all these like kind of real locations, and it was a lot of wire work. I mean, there was many different ways that the stunt team had created these new rigs that had never been done before, which sometimes they were wires that we were hooked together, and the wires were hooked to trees on location. And then there was another time where it was like a wheelbarrow almost, where there'd be two wheels on the back, I'd be sitting on that, and then Dimitrius would be like hauling me up a hill so I was really along for the ride there, I'm sorry. But yes, but we kind of, every rig they came up with, we tried. And then we even tried one time where I was like, Dan, I think I can do this myself. Like, we might not need wires for this. And it was supposed to be in shot of him picking me up off the ground, throwing me on his back, like like you would sling a backpack.
We were going to do it in cuts. And you said, I think you can just get it all in one shot.
Yeah, I was like, I think I can do this. Yeah, and that's right. And so, yeah, it was a lot, you had to use your physicality, but that's what I was excited. I think this role, it was challenging from an acting perspective and a physical perspective, which I never had to like train for a part before or be in this world of having to do the action, so.
It's incredible. Dan, when you came up with this idea, did you realize how hard it would be to pull it off?
No, I think I sold the studio on it being more affordable and doable. In like, there'd be like maybe we'd build a bust of the Predator. It would be close up on the Thea character, and she'd be hauling him in some shots just to avoid some of the challenges that we'd face. That quickly went away, like day one prep. And yeah, I never really thought, I'm very much a couch related person. I love spending a lot of time on one and dreaming of things. I'm not an outdoorsy type, but this movie was very much an adventure for the cast and crew. We were putting on hip waders and trudging through eel-infested waters, and Dimitrius was doing it in like a suit that like absorbs water, which was ridiculous. So yeah, it was really sometimes as treacherous as it is in the movie. It was for us too, but really more satisfying in the end that we had to go through so much danger to capture some awesome things.
Oh, amazing. Dimitrius, so you were wearing a suit. What was it like to transform into Deck? And also, you learned to speak Yautja, right?
Yes, sir. So yeah, transforming into Deck was just a lot of training beforehand, just to get the body used to being in a suit. I've never done suit performing before. I usually play humans. So yeah, playing the Predator was a bit out of the comfort zone, but yeah, no, it was awesome just being able to really hone in on my skills and try and I guess just get into the psychology of an alien, which is quite unheard of, but it was really fun. And then just looking through all of the previous installments, all the other actors who have played the Predator, taking inspiration from them, even the Dark Horse comics, all those stories, like just getting into woohoo, hell yeah. Just immersing myself into the world really helped with building Deck. And yeah, the language was, man, that was so fun. Me and Elle, we would do the what are they called, Zoom calls with Britain, who created the language. Literally my first call, I was like, I don't know if I can do the save. I would just tell them like straight face, like, yeah, of course, this is easy. Turn off the call, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so tough. But it was like, like it just took, the training, repetition. Elle ended up speaking, some Yautja as well.
Not as much as you had to learn, but
she's been humble.
They would have new lines for Dimitrius like every day. They're like, okay, can you learn this? And then it'd be like, yeah, but he has to learn it in Yautja. So that was.
Oh my God. It was tough, but it was just like at the end of it, like very rewarding, and like I got the language kind of for life now. So after you watch the film, guys, go learn the language. We can converse. I'm the only one that can speak it right now, so I'm feeling a bit lonely. But yeah,
this could be a lucrative new sideline for you. This could be a